Which one of us should go first? Because we both gonna hit the same. We both gonna hit the same region.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be the gracious guest and allow you to go first, sir.
I want y'all to take a hard look at Albany too. Take a
Again.
real hard look. You see them four. You see them four names right there. I ain't even include the fifth one in there, which is Colorado. Iowa, number one seed. You have no problems. They deserve to be the second best team in the country. No problem. Who they got in their region? Well, we'll give you UCLA. First of all, I don't even think UCLA deserves to be a 2 seed, to be honest with you. First and foremost. I think they should be a 3 seed. And speaking of 3 seed, who's the 3 seed? The reigning, defending national champions LSU. And then you slide in Kansas State at the 4 and Colorado at the 5. Who has the hardest bracket? Albany 2, where Caitilin Clark resides, as the top dog. Why? Because the committee was like, well, when you look at it, so you're telling me Stanford is the best number 2 team, which I have no problem with. Ohio State, I have no problem with, even though they did get smacked by Maryland. Notre Dame, I have no problem because they ran the table in the ACC tournament. Legit ran the table.
And they earned that. Yeah. And they earned that spot, so I don't have a problem with it.
And then there's UCLA and LSU. Oh, and by the way, that's not the only thing you messed up. You're telling me Oregon State is better than LSU too? Because they're the next team. They're the first team to start the 3 line. It's just Oregon State. Mm-hmm. Oregon State is not better than LSU. But guess what? You can't put LSU in that region because guess who's in that region? South Carolina.
And that means they wouldn't be matching up in the Final Four. They would have to match up at the Elite 8.
So you don't want to put UCLA in their ranking spot with probably be Portland 3 because guess who's number 1 in that region? USC.
So you can't have that either. For the same reason. You would have USC and Oregon State match up in the Elite 8.
So instead, possibly. You took your 2 biggest stars and threw them in the same region.
So that means we're not guaranteed to have the matchup that had everybody and their mama drooling. We ain't gonna see that in the Final Four this year.
Not in the Final Four. And then what makes it so difficult, they might not even face each other.
And they might not face each other this year.
Because Iowa will be playing Kansas State most likely for the 3rd time, which they split in the 2 matchups. So Kansas State has to beat Iowa. And then UCLA and LSU might face each other in the Sweet 16.
Wait. Iowa and Kansas State has already played twice this year?
Twice.
The heck, they played twice and they're in 2 different conferences.
You remember college basketball, they have these little tournaments during which. So they played twice and they split. So Kansas already know how to play against Caitilin Clark in Iowa. They got 2 tastes of those. You're going to have a Sweet 16 matchup between UCLA and LSU. Not to mention, we still got Colorado, and if they get themselves together, we know Colorado can be dangerous.
And it's possible. It's a possibility you will have Kansas State and Colorado in around 32.
I mean, what?
That's your round of 30. That's probably going to be your star round of 32 matchup. Kansas State, Colorado. For the right to play Iowa more than likely in the Sweet 16.
What are we doing? Do we understand? Like, South Carolina in one region, yes. Iowa in another region, yes. We need LSU in another region.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Either of the other 2. Either of the Portland regions.
Swap UConn and LSU.
and more than like yeah, either one.
Go ahead, Cole.
All right, so you led perfectly into my consternation because I really believe that LSU did enough to me to be on the number 2 line. I believe it. I believe they did. Now, do I think they are the 5th best team in the country? No. 6th? No. 7th or 8th? Maybe. But I would definitely put them there. And I wouldn't put South Carolina and LSU in the same region. And I would not have put LSU and Iowa in the same region, like Playmaker said, because if it is true what you say, NCAA Committee, which I actually have to say, just to show that I'm an unbiased party, you actually did pretty well with the men's bracket. I actually have to say that. You actually did pretty well with the men's bracket. This one, though? Come on, man. Why'd you stack the heavy hitters in the Albany 2 region? So you already know South Carolina's a draw. So they could occupy one region. Iowa, of course, with Caitlin Clark by herself, is another draw. So put them in another region. LSU with either Angel Reese or Kel Moki is a draw. You can pick either one, doesn't matter. Put them in a third region, a region that does not have Iowa nor South Carolina, to where you more than likely will have LSU, if they could, because they did last year, run the table, and they could meet in the Final Four, to where they can meet either South Carolina again, or we can have a rematch for the national championship in the Final Four against Iowa. But no, you thought that we have to be fair by the committee, and we believe that LSU is the 10th best team in the country. So the 10th best team in the country deserves to be a third seed in the bracket where the number 2 overall resides. I thought you were about money. I thought you were about making money. You would have had people fawning over the Final Four simply because you would have had the possibility of South Carolina, Iowa, and LSU making it for the second year in a row. That's what you should have done. You missed a golden opportunity. And yeah, I could applaud Texas. Do I think they're going to make it all the way to the Final Four? No. But I really believe that you should have done something of the ilk of probably put LSU in that region. Maybe that region. At least give them a shot to not face South Carolina, because everybody and their mama was saying, we want LSU, South Carolina for a third time this year. Because both the games they played, even though South Carolina won both of them were really close and contentious, especially the second one, which was the SEC Championship. Son, don't you climb from the stands to the floor. And memo to the fool who, when he saw the clip, had the nerve to say, quote, what did that chump do wrong? I mean, all he was doing was trying to protect his sister. Close quote. He jumped his behind on the floor. That's what's wrong with it. And I love the response by one of the people who responded to him. He said, well, if he did nothing wrong, why was he let off the court in handcuffs? That matchup. We're drilling. Now, I'll admit, we still could get that. And we actually still could get that for the national championship game, because if South Carolina and LSU make it to the Final Four, they won't play each other. That is still on the table. Unfortunately, though, your biggest cash cow might not be if LSU does make it. And that's where you screwed the pooch. If you want the big-time matchup, you should have put LSU in one region, Iowa in another region, and South Carolina in another region. Have them be in 3 different regions, and we will all pay attention to each of those regions for that reason. We're going to pay attention to Albany 1 because of South Carolina. We're going to pay attention to Albany 2 because of Iowa. And we should have paid attention to like Portland 3 or 4 because of LSU. But no, you didn't do that. You decided to load Albany 2 up.
Man, make it 4 because we're going to pay attention to Portland 3 because Juju in that region.
You decided to load that up. Now, there'll be other reasons we have to follow. Obviously, we'll be following USC in the Portland 3. And more than likely, we'll be following Stanford and maybe to a lesser degree Texas in Portland 4. But the biggest draws right now in college basketball in general, but definitely in particular women's college basketball, is Dawn Staley, Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese. Playmaker, correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
You killing one of your draws in the Elite Eight.
That's what I thought. You should have had LSU be in a region that was not with Iowa nor South Carolina, so you could guarantee that they would be in the Final Four along with the other 2. The team was worth doing it. The only big time stumble they've had really was against USC, not South Carolina. Now I know they had other losses too. I know they lost to start the season. I know that. I understand that.
Colorado, whenever they wake up.
But to me, they did not stumble so bad to where you say, okay, well, they're the number 10 ranked team in the country, and we'll slot them in with Iowa, and then we'll cross our fingers and hope they meet in the Elite Eight. No. To me, they were good enough to where they could be in a region all by themselves, where they could fight whomever, because I think they could defeat anybody. Because really, the only team I really seem to have really difficulty playing against is South Carolina. Now, yeah, they stubbed their toe against Auburn, but they got them back when they played in Baton Rouge. The point is, like Playmaker said, your cash cows, you messed up. You want to grow your game. You want to grow the women's game. You had the opportunity to have South Carolina, Iowa, and LSU in the Final Four for the second year in a row. But you screwed that up. How dare you have a region with Iowa, UCLA, LSU, Kansas State, and Colorado all in it? And Kansas State, Colorado is your round of 32 matchup. That's your round of 32 matchup in the region. And then you have UCLA and LSU matching them to Sweet 16. And if LSU advances, LSU and I will meet up in the Elite Eight. The national championship game for last year.
Elite Eight.
That's an Elite Eight game this year. I don't think so. That's a Final Four game again. And you know this. You know this, NCAA. You know that is a Final Four matchup. But you're going to have them match up one round sooner. You cheated the fans out of that one. That's all I got to say, NCAA competition committee. You cheated the fans out of the matchup that they wanted. They wanted to see LSU and Iowa meet up national semifinals at worst. At worst. But no, we got to settle for the Elite Eight. Thanks to you.
That's if we can get the Elite Eight, because you must remember you mentioned the other 3 teams that's in there: UCLA, Kansas State, and Colorado.
And oh, by the way, we might not get that matchup because Kansas State could match up against Iowa or Colorado could match up against Iowa in the Sweet 16. And I already talked about the possibility of UCLA and LSU in the Sweet 16. So yeah, so there's a possibility we might not see that matchup, because you got another one of these strong teams that could knock the other out before they even get to the Elite Eight. Nah. No, you did us a huge disservice by that.